Hello and welcome to Business 7. In this week's episode, we're taking a look at the green hydrogen sector. Of course, Namibia is banking big time on the development of this industry for future economic growth. We're looking at current developments as well as future plans. We'll be right back.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
The person to talk to when you want to know about green hydrogen in Namibia is James Mnyupe. He is Namibia's first green hydrogen commissioner and of course also the economic advisor of President Hage Geingob. Stay tuned for an interview with him. He's no doubt one of the busiest people in Namibia, tough guy to catch up with. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us, James Mnyupe. He is the presidential advisor to Dr. Hage Geingob and also Namibia's first green hydrogen commissioner. Welcome to the program, James.
Hey, Joe, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot for having me.
If I say that you're one of the busiest people in the country, it's not because you're just making plans to put Namibia in the midst of a world player when it comes to green energy. It's also because you're very, very action-driven and implementing those plans. As we've seen this week, a lot happening in Namibia's journey to embrace green energy. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Absolutely. So, Joe, a lot is happening, but believe it or not, as busy as we are, the plan is to do a little bit more, maybe a lot more. But as some very good friends have told me, it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So, this journey obviously started 2018, right? Or 2021, 18 March, when we announced that this is what we're going to do in HPP2. Of course, since then, what has happened that has really helped our ambitions is we've gotten some friends along the way, right? So whether that's Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, the EU Commission, and in fact, in April this year, so essentially next month, we're going to Japan to get some more friends as well. And when Namibia starts working with a collective of friends like that, but also the private sector and the public sector start pulling together at home, these results do happen. So what we're celebrating today, obviously, is the delivery of the scholarship program, right? Which is something we announced in 2021 when we signed the JCOI. We appreciate that not everyone knew about it then, but we're hoping they begin to find out about it now. So we should be giving 93 scholarships to students today. Super, super excited about that because you're really responding to the cry from the youth for opportunities. We're celebrating basically Dowris as a pilot project that has just gotten, I think, 120 million Namibian dollars. And they want to start construction in 2 weeks, right? They're going to hire 100 people. A 100% Namibian company is going to do that construction, and that's Nexus. It's just super exciting to get onto the practical side of all this. But there's even more to come, and I'd love to tell you more about it during our conversation.
James, just for people who are not quite as informed about all of this, can you quickly summarize for us the Dowris project and also what particular scholarships we are talking about?
Absolutely. So the first thing I'll tell everyone who doesn't know is they need to be signing into Joe's podcast and her Twitter page and all her articles that she'll write, because we'll be giving her all the download right here on her page. But look, the JCOI, the Joint Communication of Intent, was an agreement between the BMBF, the Ministry of Education and Research in Germany, and essentially our Green Hydrogen Council in our government, which was represented by DG Kanjode, right? And the two governments basically agreed to try and engender a local green hydrogen economy. Everyone sort of thought green hydrogen is all about creating the molecules and exporting them. But then what's left for Namibia? Nothing, right? And so people were feeling that these emerging market nations would be taken advantage of. But we had other plans. So we know that to produce green hydrogen at home, lots of things need to happen. There's lots of logistics, lots of construction. You need to actually assemble a lot of these plants here. And we knew that we would need to skill up our people to do that. So first things first, the 40 million euros that was given by the Germans was broken up into 3 programs. One, to focus on developing a strategy, because you need a long-term plan. The other one, developing on skilling up local people. So that was a scholarship program. So that was 5 million euros, 5 million euros. And then the 30 million was then set aside for pilot projects to start building 2 or 3 concepts in Namibia that have the potential to become commercial operations later on. You know, if you think of the 40 million, that's easily, you're looking at almost 800 million Namibian dollars. So the two 5 millions, that's 85. And so far we've spent about 1.7 million euros to essentially apply for and send this first cohort of Namibians to master's programs in Namibia and in Germany. And also we've set aside just about 30 places for a TVET program, right? So for that vocational training at home, because not all of us necessarily need degrees to start participating. So this is now hitting the ground today. A lot of the students applied. Of course, this call was opened up March last year. It was supposed to close in May, but we actually extended it to the 8th of June. 1,100 applicants sent through their applications. We were super excited about that. A team of 14 people from NAST, NCRST, UNAM, NTA, all then came together, and they were headed up by the Minister of Higher Education to review those applications. The 1,000 became 468, the 468 became the 93 today, and they should be receiving full scholarships, tuition, accommodation, travel, and even an $8,000 a month stipend. But the idea is that these students get skilled in these various sciences and civil engineering and electrical engineering, etc., that we need. And then as we start building these projects, they can get absorbed into the projects. We have set some fairly ambitious local content requirements for especially the larger project in Lüderitz. And some of that, of course, would be hiring local people to do some of the activities that we want to do down south.
The shining example of Namibia's plans when it comes to green hydrogen currently is the Darius Green Village. James Mnyupe once again elaborates on this project, but before we listen to him, let's take a look at what it is all about.
What it used to be. Intertwined challenges continue to entangle humanity in their grasp. The planet that we call home edges towards dissipation, and even though Mother Nature always does her part, her natural resources are constantly depleting as we continue leading her down this unsustainable path. The elders have always said that when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. As humanity seeks selfish progression at the cost of resources that cannot be replenished, the earth cries out because those destroying it are the ones meant to save it. And Namibia and Germany have listened. The two governments have signed a joint communique of intent to support renewable energy and green hydrogen industry in Namibia. The BMBF has availed 12 million euro through SASCAL to fund the first green hydrogen village in Namibia, the Darius Green Hydrogen Village. This is a partnership for a clean green future which will assist in achieving socio-economic development. The creation of a village whose practices will honor the land and trust in the sun and the wind. A community that will lead Namibia into the future of clean energy. A way of life that does not take air away from Mother Nature's lungs, but instead collaborates with the elements. moving as one and creating a sustainable existence for many, located in the heart of Erongo and named after the highest peak of the land of the brave. Daures Green Hydrogen Project is here to usher Namibia into a new reality built on ensuring the longevity of our land and its people, conceived by young Namibians and supported by the government. Daures Green Hydrogen Village will produce Namibia's first green hydrogen and green ammonia in 2023, creating 50 full-time jobs and 100 temporary jobs during construction in phase 1, with future phases of the project seeing over 100 wind turbines erected, over half a gigawatt of solar panels, over 350,000 tons of ammonia per year, all with the involvement of academia, researching tractor conversions to run on ammonia and hydrogen. Daures Green Hydrogen Village can support the decarbonization of Namibia, SADC, and even Europe. Because the earth has cried out for long enough. The time to act is now, and we are ready. This is the future. This is sustainability. This is Daures.
Now, Daures is the first recipient of the 30 million in the middle, right? So that's the pilot project. They got 12 million euros to build what they're calling the first sustainable green village in Africa. Super exciting concept. They want to make green tomatoes and green carrots. But, you know, when you go there, it's obviously it's a desert, right? There's not a lot happening there. But it's some of the best wind and the best solar sites in Namibia. And they have 4 phases that they will be looking to build this project in. And if they finish all the way to the top, to the end, that's 1 gigawatt of renewables. And it's about a 60 billion Namibian dollar project. So that kind of blows the mind when you go there. I mean, it's literally desert. We met, obviously, the chief. And the most amazing thing about the project is the traditional authority and the conservancy actually owns 10% equity in the project already from day one. So that's just really, really cool. And so for this first $100 million they'll get, they'll be looking to put up boreholes, met masts, the renewable energy assets, and then they'll actually be putting up a training facility. UNAM and the University of Stuttgart will be there to train some of the students. They will then be putting up as well a community center and various other structures as well. And I think we've given all that information to Jo, and she's going to put it in a nice article for you guys as well to see.
It's absolutely wonderful to hear the tangible benefits for Namibia, and the fact that Namibians are involved in this on grassroots level, and when it comes to the more specialized areas. I think that should put a lot of fears to rest, that, as you've mentioned, you know, the resource will simply leave Namibia. So great news there. Thank you very much. The entire world currently wants a piece of the green hydrogen pie. And just how prepared is Namibia to remain a competitor in this ever-toughening race? Once again, James Mnyupe. Earlier in our conversation, you mentioned that Namibia has made some good friends to take along on this green hydrogen journey of ours. I think that should probably be extremely important, because the race is rather tough. It is heating up. Everybody seems to be wanting to get into the green energy sphere. How well is Namibia placed to ensure that it will remain a world player when it comes to this industry?
Jo, that is a really, really good question. I think something that's very important for Namibians to know. When we started with this concept, 2021, we were by far the front runners in Africa. No one else was really talking about it. And for that reason, Namibia became a bit of a poster child as a green hydrogen pioneer from the continent. Today, we're looking at Mauritania, Kenya, South Africa, even Angola is getting involved. And so what we do need to realize is, A, we need to retain our integrity, right? Because one of the things that has made us move a bit slower is open, transparent tenders, negotiations, very, very detailed 120-page contracts for the big project, for example. Whereas in other countries, it was easier to get a parcel of land and government says, just go ahead and do it. So our processes, systems, and institutions have made us a little bit slower, a little bit more rigid, but we think we're forming a very strong foundation for the future. Be that as it may, private sector and government have to move together with speed. I mean, practical example, we encouraged people to apply for the pilot project and the scholarships. We got 23 applicants for the pilot projects. We would want even more applicants for the scholarships. We would also want private sector to contribute to that scholarship pool because we need to train a lot of people. The Hyphen project in the South is looking at 15,000 people during construction. Do we have that many skilled and unskilled labor in Namibia to do that project on our own? Possibly not. We have a lot though, and so mobilizing people is important. But Joe, even if we mobilize everyone in Namibia and we're good to go, we definitely need an off-taker, somebody to buy the molecules, and we certainly need the funding as well, somebody to bring in $11 billion to build that project. And that's where the friends come in very handy. So at the moment, you remember we signed an MOU with the EU Commission in November in Egypt. That MOU is now beginning to get translated into a roadmap. This roadmap will have a set of activities of practical things that Namibia and the EU will do together to get the economy, this green hydrogen economy going. So, for example, there's a $500 million euro facility that is going to be provided by the EIB. If we want to tap into it to build related infrastructure, we can do that. The German government is putting in place potential offtake mechanisms in order to support the purchase of that molecule in a way that provides support for the buyers if the price of the molecules goes too high. You need that confidence in the offtake for the lenders to give you money to actually to buy the equipment. The other realities in the world, Joe, and you know this, is interest rates have gone up, and at the same time, prices of renewables have gone up. So previous estimates in terms of capex and of course the levelized cost of hydrogen or ammonia has gone up as well. So those are very challenging environments, and there is no way Namibia would be able to deliver a project like this on its own. And that's why having partners like the EU that are very, very resolute in saying, look, this is what we want to happen, A, because we want to decarbonize European industry, but B, because we want to help the global South and Namibia to start industrializing on their own is very important. But be that as it may, Europe alone can't be your only friend. So this is why we're going to Japan. So we met the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry from Japan at the mining in Daba. And in April this year, on the 17th of April, we should be going over to Tokyo, where they've actually arranged various roundtables with a lot of their business people, some of their government officials from Metia coming, people from JBIC, which is a big sort of, it's a Japan bank, almost like our DBN is coming as well. And they're looking at, because, if you look at the world green hydrogen market, there is Europe as a big importer, and then Japan and South Korea will be the other ones. We'll also be visiting, for example, a coal-fired power station that co-fires ammonia with the coal to reduce their emissions, right? So they might be a potential off-taker for ammonia. So Namibia is diversifying and adding to its list of friends. And then we've also started working with the United States government a little bit. They're helping us looking at our legislation. So if you look at our strategy, we've got Japan, Europe, and the US. And then, of course, anybody else, is invited to come and work with us as well. But the idea is to diversify friends in order to de-risk the effort that we're putting in at home. Absolutely.
Certainly sounds very reassuring. James, thank you very much for your time. We won't keep you any longer. You have another milestone to celebrate at State House. Congratulations on that, and have a great, great day.
Thank you, Joe. One more thing for you and your viewers. So the ammonia production and the molecules is very exciting. I think what we're going to start doing next, and again, I'd be very happy to come back and tell you more about it, is when you now start connecting the excess energy and molecules to value addition at home. So for example, with the Dowrus project, they're already beginning to talk to Andrada which is the lithium producer, at giving them energy so that they can start producing green lithium. That is actually the real sort of epitome of what we're trying to do, to create linkages and to create a nice sort of strong, stable foundation of cheap energy in Namibia, and then attract energy-intensive industries. That's the way we get to Vision 2030. Watch this space. We're doing some cool stuff in that space as well, but you'll hear it right here first on your channel. Okay.
Thank you so much to FNB for this opportunity. Thank you so much to FNB. What an experience. I never got to do shopping in 5 minutes, but look at all this.
Thank you for joining us in this week's Business 7. We hope you enjoyed the program. We'll see you again next week, same place, same time. We're playing out with the highlights of business on the African continent in the past week, as supplied by Reuters.
Here's what's been making the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa this week. US Vice President Kamala Harris starts a week-long African trip at the weekend, during which she will discuss the best ways for the international community to address debt challenges faced by Ghana and Zambia. American officials said Harris, the latest senior US figure to take part in a diplomatic charm offensive on the continent, would also discuss China's engagement in technology and economic issues in Africa that concern the United States. Africa-focused oil and gas producer Savannah Energy said on Friday that it will pursue all its legal rights after Chad's government moved to nationalize its upstream assets in the country. In December, ExxonMobil closed a sale to London-listed Savannah of its 40% stake in the Doba oil project, comprising 7 producing oil fields in a $407 million deal. But the Chadian government challenged the agreement. Kenya's government is close to approving a restructuring plan for Kenya Airways, its CEO has said. That plan replaces one introduced by the previous administration under President Uhuru Kenyatta, which would eventually have seen the state take over $800 million of the airline's debt. Kenyatta's successor William Ruto has said he will cut borrowing, and called into question the government's participation in Kenya Airways. South African lender Absa Group said on Friday that it's aiming for net zero by 2050 by curtailing lending to coal, oil and gas projects and increasing its exposure to renewables. South African banks, among the biggest on the continent, have come under fire from activists and environmentalists for continuing to fund fossil fuel projects in contrast with many of their global peers. And finally, France's HDF Energy is to develop Zimbabwe's first green hydrogen power plant, it said in a joint statement with the country's state-owned electricity distributor on Thursday. The countries have signed a memorandum of understanding, worth $300 million, for the plant, which will use renewable energy to produce hydrogen with the aim of providing electricity for 220,000 people.
Every day, you make choices that make you legendary. Journey together with us on the path to securing your legacy as a member of the League of Legends. With the Select Platinum Bundle Fee Premium Bank offering, you will access tools that will enable you to thrive. If you earn 850,000 Namibian dollars per annum or more, you can apply for this offering today via bankvinted.com.na for only 447 Namibian dollars per month. Bank Vinted, a member of Capricorn Group.